Heidi-ho, guys. So there's a lot of newbies out there, people thinking about getting into the nomadic lifestyle and who are really interested in getting a school bus and converting it and have never driven a school bus before. Now, I was a actual school bus driver, and I drive professionally for a transit company now and have a CDL and all that good garbage. So I can't give you any driving tips yet until we get a lot of things built into our bus, get it retitled and insured and all that stuff. And it's a big process, and we'll get it done. And then maybe when I go out on test drives and stuff, I can give you some tips. But I thought I would give you a quick demo on some of the differences between a school bus and a car, and how you start one, and what the process all is, and maybe you can understand some things. Now, our bus, most school buses, have air brakes. Let me back up just a little bit. I'm going to post a link down below, okay, for something called a pre-trip inspection. Now, this is something you have to learn every step of the way on before you can get the proper CDL license. Most school buses don't require it. If you've got it retitled as an RV and under a certain weight in every state, you're cool. Don't worry about it. Okay? Keep your weight down a little bit. I think it's 25 or 26,000 pounds. Okay? But it's a good idea to learn the pre-trip and do it every time you go somewhere. Now, I didn't really pre-trip our bus this morning just because I'm just going to start it and get a little oil up into the engine and build the air back up and stuff like that. We've got a small air leak. We do have air brakes. Okay? And where am I looking? That gauge right there. That gauge right there. I gotta move my hand so I quit pausing the video by bumping a button on the side of the cell phone. I'm taping this with a cell phone, and hopefully it's not too wonky. I'm camera poor right now. Okay, we have a lot of miles on our bus, as you can see. I don't know if I can. Okay. I've had people ask. The hours aren't too bad for that many miles, so it wasn't really an event bus much. Didn't spend a lot of time idling. But it's got a rebuilt motor and a remanufactured transmission last year. So as much as we're going to drive it in the future, it's going to last us decades. Okay, a couple things about air brakes. You have a gauge. Look for that gauge. Now, we have two needles on our gauge because we have two separate air brake systems, one for the front and one for the rears. This, over here, is the emergency brake, okay? School buses do not have park. So when you stop one, you have to put it in neutral and apply the emergency brake every single time. Notice this knob's pulled out, and there is a emergency brake on school buses with air that operates by a heavy spring. Okay? Now this is backwards from what you might think. Okay? When you pull this knob out, it releases air pressure to the emergency brake and allows the spring to clamp down on the brakes. When you push this in, it will force air into the emergency brake system, fighting against that spring and open up the emergency brakes. And the reason that it's that way is because if you have pneumatic brakes, regular brakes with brake fluid, if you have a leak in the system, and all of a sudden you're out of brake fluid, you're going to discover, going down a big hill probably, that you don't have any brakes, and you're in trouble. With an air brake system, if there's an air leak, okay, the air bleeds off and releases air to the emergency brake system. The spring takes over, you're driving down the road, and the rear wheels will have brakes all on their own and stop you. Okay? Alright, now we're going to start this up. When I turn the key, there's going to be a horrible beeping sound. You'll notice we got around 30 pounds, a little less than 30 pounds of air. Until that gets to 60 pounds of air, you're going to hear horrible beeping, and it's obnoxious. The engine will continue to run, and when we get clear up to 125 pounds of pressure, you'll hear a big sound, and that's when the compressor shuts off and it's got full air. We're just about out of fuel, so I'm going to have to get a 5-gallon can of diesel and put some fuel in this thing. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to put the key in, if I can see it. Kind of hard to do on camera. And we'll turn it. There's that obnoxious beeping. You should have a light on the dash that says wait to start. Ours isn't working for some reason. I'm not going to make an issue out of it because the bus starts. All I have to do is wait a while, and we'll try it in a second. If it doesn't start, we'll wait a little bit longer. The wait to start light stops it from starting until a certain temperature is reached. There's a thing called glow plugs in the engine that warm things up to help it start. And when it reaches a certain temperature, that light will go off. Most all buses have it with diesel engines. And then you can start it. The bus will not start unless you depress the service brake, the pedal, all the way. Let's see how we do. Okay. No, not yet. Okay. And you can hear me let off the pedal. Alright, we'll just wait a few minutes. There are a lot of people out there who want to get a schoolie and are interested in everything from short buses to great big flat engine buses. Ours is pretty big for what's called a dog nose, where you have a hood out in front of the driver. Okay? An awful lot of them do have air brakes. And if you have a diesel, you're going to have this wait to start issue. It just takes a minute. Alright, we'll try again. Not yet. Okay. Now we'll keep a trying. I like to start it every couple of days, get the battery charged up a little bit, get oil up into the engine, and refill the air brakes, because we have a slow leak somewhere. I don't know where, and maybe, hopefully, one day I can find it so it's not an issue. But this way I can get the air tanks filled back up. Now, as the weather gets colder, I really need to drain those air tanks every couple of days as well, because air brake systems build water up in them, and it'll settle in the tanks and rust them out. Alright, we'll try it one more time. No. There we go. Now, watch this gauge. When it gets, both needles get to 60, the beeping will stop. about there. There it goes. About to run out of memory on my phone. Hopefully we'll get up to 125. You can hear the turbo whizzing. I shouldn't really rev it up so much until it's warmed up. Well, we're at 100. Notice the needles are traveling right together. There it goes. Did you hear it go? Alright, we'll turn it off. Hopefully, if you've never driven a bus before, that'll help you get things started. Anyhow, I'm about out of memory on this cell phone. I'm really camera poor. So, we'll get through this, and I'll see you next time.
Yes, dear. Anything you say, dear. I love you. Please don't hit me again.
Silly wabbit. I'm too sexy for my hat. Too sexy for my hat. What you think about that? I'm too sexy for the wabbit. Sexy for the wabbit. The silly widow wabbit. I'm too sexy for your party. Too sexy for your party. No way I'm disco dancing. I'm too sexy for my gun. Too sexy for my gun. Uh-oh.